5 years ago, we made our first video on Apple's smart glasses, and since then, this product has evolved into a larger headset, which seems to be the best AR/VR headset on the market, and it's called the Apple Vision Pro. And it looks like something straight out of Black Mirror, so here are 20 interesting things you should know about it. Just like you should know about our sponsor, DreameTech. DreameTech's DreameBot D10s Plus is the next generation of smart home robot vacuums, helping you make your life easier with incredible battery life, automated self-emptying, and advanced AI and LiDAR navigation. More about the DreameBot D10s Plus later in the video. And now let's go over those 20 things, starting off with number 1. This is a mixed reality headset, so it's not just a VR headset like the Meta Quest or the PSVR, but also an augmented reality headset that can overlay elements, graphical elements on top of your real world to enhance it. And then you can use the digital crown on the right-hand side, kind of like on the Apple Watch and the AirPods Max, to switch between the two modes, AR and VR, seamlessly. And really, its nearest competitor, and its only competitor, is the Meta Quest Pro. Now, the second thing that you should know about is the price. So the specs of this thing are miles above anything that a competition has. More about that soon. And because of these specs, we also have an insanely high price point. The rumors were initially saying that it would be up to $3,000, which was already insane. I believed it to be up to $2,500. But the actual price is $3,500. Like, you can literally buy a Mac Studio and a studio display for this price. And number 3, we have the availability. So the Apple Vision Pro is only launching next year and only in the US at first. Other regions like the UK, Europe would be coming later. It's really unclear when that would be, likely mid to late 2024. And not only that, but Apple is only said to be manufacturing between 100,000 to 300,000 units. As a comparison, Apple has been targeting 90 million units with the iPhone 14. So even if you have the money to buy this thing, supplies are going to be very, very limited. Actually, according to an old rumor, Apple was planning to only sell one Vision Pro per Apple Store. At number 4, this is a journey. The Vision Pro is the first of its kind. Note the Pro in its name. And according to rumors, Apple will be launching a cheaper model, likely just called Vision, by 2025. And more models will be coming, of course, in the future. And like I said, this is a journey. Phones today are a really small window into the digital world. Sort of like looking through the small windows of a castle, you know, the ones where they place their guns and cannons to shoot. This is the current view of the digital world. Whereas with AR, there's no window as you're literally already outside. So in the future, the iPhone will be replaced by the headset, of course, a future version of it, likely the AR glasses, which will be coming later. But until then, the Vision Pro is Apple's vision for that future. Now, let's talk about specifics. We have Vision OS, which is essentially a custom OS that runs on the headset. And it brings together everything that Apple learned from iOS, macOS, and iPadOS into one system. It will come with built-in apps like Messages, Safari, Mail, Notes, Photos, Apple TV, and more, and then also sync with all of your Apple devices. And then thanks to its AR mode, you'll be able to place all of these apps anywhere you want in your environment and resize them. You'll be able to simulate the theater experience in VR mode and watch a movie on a plane, and then use spatial audio from the built-in speakers or using the AirPods to simulate a full 3D sound around you. Or view panoramas taken on your iPhone in true panoramic mode, and on top of this, you'll also be able to run iPadOS apps on the Vision Pro and place them anywhere you want. You'll be able to connect the controller and play Apple Arcade games too. You'll be able to install third-party apps like Microsoft Office, Disney+, as well as anything else that developers make, games, AR apps, and more. And you can actually connect a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard to make your work a bit easier. And then if you have a Mac, you can literally look at it and then mirror its screen. Yeah, only Apple can achieve this level of ecosystem communication. Unfortunately, you cannot move apps or windows from your Mac to the headset. For example, if you want to run Final Cut, you'll need to run it on the Mac first in this mirroring mode. And 2 things were needed for Apple to pull all of this off. 1, loads of performance, and 2, sharp visuals. So in terms of performance, we have an Apple M2 chip inside, which seems to be actively cooled, and that handles the OS and the apps. And then we also have another chip, this is a new chip called the R1, that would handle all the processing from the cameras. So the performance is definitely there, but I don't know, I feel like a 2024 launch would just make the M2 chip feel even more outdated. Like, why not have the M3 or the M2 Pro inside by the time this launches at the end of 2024 in other regions, the M2 chip would be very out of date, especially considering its price. And to achieve those sharp visuals, Apple is using a micro OLED display for each eye. That is 4K resolution per eye, or 23 million pixels in total. Which, compared to the Meta Quest Pro, which has 7 million pixels, the Apple Vision Pro has 3.3 times more. That is really impressive, and Apple's also using foveated rendering, essentially rendering the part that you're looking at a higher resolution, and that's why the text should appear very sharp. When I was using the Quest Pro, the sharpness was so-and-so. I did actually get eye strain after using it for about 30 minutes or so to write my scripts and browse the web. This should be much better, as we not only have a much higher resolution, but we also have a desktop chip, unlike the mobile chip on the Meta Quest. Not only that, but the lenses are state-of-the-art, specifically made for the content to be sharp everywhere you look, as usually VR headsets, they use lenses that are sharp in the middle, and then they're quite soft around the edges. Now, to track where you're looking, Apple is using multiple cameras and infrared sensors to track your eyes. And people who have tried it said that this is the best eye tracking on any headset. You can just look at something, that thing would be highlighted, and then you would simply use a pinch gesture to select it. And with the Vision Pro, Apple has now introduced their third method of authentication, which is Optic ID, used for making purchases and signing in, although it is unclear if we would be able to have multiple profiles on the headset so that more people can actually use it. Now, the controls are quite interesting because there are no controllers at all. You simply use your voice and your touch to interact with the headset. In fact, all you need to do is use pinch gestures to select items, and then different gestures just to zoom in, zoom out, and scroll throughout the UI. And then Siri for the rest. I guess that this is indeed the future of interacting with AR, VR headsets. Like, Meta has been focusing heavily on finger tracking too. And speaking of the future, just like the Apple Vision Pro, the DreameBot D10s Plus uses advanced AI and LiDAR navigation to perceive shapes, colors, and also the distance of nearby objects in order to make sure it never gets stuck during cleaning. And each cleaning run is now more effective, as the battery can last 280 minutes before charging, and it even has almost twice the suction power of its nearby competitor. Vacuuming and mopping is a breeze with its bristleless rubber brush and various cleaning modes to tackle any surface with ease. With voice activation, it seamlessly integrates into your smart home to be ready when you are. Also, the D10s Plus has a 4-liter dust bag that can provide up to 65 days of hands-free collection from the base station, and with dual boost technology inside, you get a fully empty dust container after each use. Get a DreameBot D10s Plus today by using the link below. And the promo code ZONEofTECH10 for 10% off on top of the already existing promotion. And now, back to the video. The reason why Apple is able to do all of this tracking without controllers is thanks to their cameras. They have a lot of them. So on the front, we have 6 cameras, 3 LiDAR modules, and then 2 more cameras in the bottom frame, which are able to track your hands while they're resting. So you won't need to have your hands up all the time. You can just rest them on your lap and then just pinch. And then what makes this headset so cool is that it has another display pointed towards the outside that lets the outside users see your eyes. First, you have to create a 3D model of your face using the front of the headset, and then the eye tracking cameras would track your eye movements and update your 3D model in real time so that the person looking at you can see your eye movements as if the front glass was actually transparent. And it actually works dynamically too, so if you're watching a movie, it would appear in a certain way. If someone approaches you, the headset would enable AR mode so that you can see the person, and then the outer screen would automatically show your eyes. I do have a feeling that this outer display feature was also added just to make the headset look cooler and more futuristic. And then you also have FaceTime, which is actually very interesting. So when you're talking to someone, you'll be able to see their FaceTime windows just floating around, and then the people who you're speaking to will get to see your avatar. So essentially a 3D representation of yourself. It doesn't actually look as realistic as the ones that Meta has teased that they're working on, but yeah, they definitely look much better than what Meta has right now. And then we have the battery life. So you get this external battery pack, which will always need to be connected to the headset, which goes in your pocket. And with this battery pack, you'll get 2 hours of battery life, which I know isn't great. Now, Apple is targeting this mostly as a productivity device and as an entertainment device. And keep in mind, most movies are 2 hours or longer, so you won't actually be able to watch a full movie on this unless you wall power it. That is doable, and that way the headset will last for as long as it's plugged in. Now, because the headset has multiple cameras, you can actually take photos and videos in 3D and then view them back on the headset. It is kind of a trippy experience, reliving your memories in a way more realistic way than ever before. The downside is that you won't be able to share these with your family and friends unless they all have a Vision Pro headset. Now, Apple hasn't disclosed the weight, but people who have tried it said that it is pretty heavy. Heavier than the AirPods Max, which were already quite heavy, and it does make sense. Like, Apple's using glass and aluminium compared to all the other manufacturers which are using plastic to keep the headset light. And since the headset is quite heavy and also fully made out of glass on the front, yeah, just make sure that you don't drop it, as the front glass would immediately shatter, and I'm pretty sure that fixing it would be very expensive, so if Apple's gonna have any AppleCare plan, I do suggest all of you who buy the headset also buy the AppleCare plan. Speaking of extras, Apple will also be selling lens attachments by Zeiss, so that if you wear glasses, you can actually still use the headset and get a crystal clear image. Now, a pretty big deal is actually Unity support. So developers can now use the established game engine to make games and experiences for the Vision Pro much faster and easier, which is really what Apple wants and needs. This headset needs apps to succeed. And if you want to get early access to the headset, as a developer, you'll be able to request a development kit. Essentially buy one. It's unclear if the price will be $3,500 for developers as well, or if this will be less or more. We'll have to wait and see. At the end of the day, like I said, the success of this headset fully depends on the quality apps that we'll see. I mean, it definitely generated some hype, but at $3,500 and also limited availability, very few people would be able to get their hands on it. Personally, I think that Apple should have taken a loss on the unit at first. The bill of materials that got leaked was at $1,600, considerably less than the cost of the headset. Of course, the R&D costs were quite substantial as well, but still, Apple could have priced it at a lower price point and therefore make their money through the apps. As right now, I do believe that this will create that vicious circle that I talked about in our previous videos, where the price is just too high and people won't buy it. And if people won't buy it, then developers won't be enticed to make apps for it. And if there's not enough apps for it, then again, people won't buy it. But what do you guys think? Let us know down below. We'll definitely try to get our hands on it as soon as we can. And until then, feel free to, well, subscribe, as we'll be making more WWDC related videos. We did one on iOS 17 yesterday, and more to come in the following days. I'm Daniel, it's been ZONEofTECH, and I'll see you guys in the next one. ZONEofTECH, signing out. Cheers.